So on the engagement work stream, the white paper back in September set out a vision and objectives for the task force, with the engagement work stream specifically providing, if you like, a driving force to enable them. Specifically, the work stream has been tasked with developing a vision, setting out some blueprints of the capabilities we need across all of the work streams, roadmaps to development, focusing on community engagement, sharing good practice and inspiring others. So that's what we have set out to achieve. As you can see, there's a lot of activity going on in project data analytics, and that's through the government, the various entities of government, industry bodies, professional institutions and academia. And very little of that we found to be coordinated, and there's a danger of duplication and factions emerging. I think someone's microphone's still on. Great, thank you. So the task force seeks alignment and coordination across such initiatives and groups, and we have a strategy based on collaboration and partnering rather than reinventing things. So therefore, our engagement workstream follows a traditional stakeholder engagement model of awareness, interest, engagement and commitment. The focus to date has been principally in the awareness step, and that is for the task force to be aware of what's going on in relation to project data analytics and by whom. We've been busy reaching out to organizations, but we've had to prioritize our efforts to those that we reach out to where we can get some early agreement and early cooperation so that we start that alignment approach that I mentioned earlier. So we've also focused on the awareness step in terms of who needs to be aware of the task force, why, and how they can be engaged. And we did that through seeking volunteers to get involved in the various work streams. We've discovered through this engagement approach, in particular the awareness step, that there's a lot of misunderstanding in relation to project data analytics, particularly around digital transformation and aspects such as machine learning and AI. So as mentioned by Martin earlier, we've been working with the APM to develop a Getting Started guide, and that covers both the tactical approach to getting started and also the more strategic approach that some organizations may need to take. The guide's been drafted and it's in the queue at the moment to go through APM's publishing process. Next slide, please, Joshi. So this slide sets out activities that are currently underway and also planned for the next 6 months. So I'm not going to go through this in detail. You'll be pleased to know, given we've only got a few minutes each on our workstream updates. But what I'd like to do is just to go from right to left to sort of show what our end point thinking is. So the task force is made up of volunteers, which is great, but there will come a point where activities we want to pursue cannot be done by volunteers alone. We may need some dedicated resource, whether by way of secondment or hiring, and we're also very likely to need investment in capabilities to support each of the work streams. For example, a solutions database or some competency frameworks or whatever that might need come from the work streams. So the engagement work stream is also aiming at securing some funding. Now, in order to secure funding, we need governance. And so you can see the steps outlined that we're putting in place to make sure we've got the appropriate governance in place with the right people appointed to a steering group, and we'll only go out and seek funding, once that governance is in place. You can also see some of the other aspects through the people and organisations and the content and comms that go to support the governance and funding activities too. So one thing I would like just to highlight on here, I mentioned before about volunteers, and you can see in the people and organisation aspect there's some outreach and volunteers activity, and you can see that we've highlighted it as amber. And the reason for that is that from our first launch back in September, we were sort of overwhelmed with volunteers, which is really good. But the need to focus on some of our foundation steps means that not all volunteers have been engaged, I guess, as fully as they may have liked when they first put their hands up. Please be patient. We are, moving on to the next step on most of our initiatives, so there'll be plenty of opportunities for everyone to get involved. That's all I'd like to cover in terms of this engagement workstream update.